Hey guys, Brent Hull here, talking to you today about libraries and building up a library and how to do it. Even before I started this business, I was collecting books and reading and trying to figure things out. So, I've got close to 4,000 volumes now. And how long does it take to collect that many? How long does it take? And what's the point? Why, some of these volumes sitting up there, I haven't even looked at, well, until recently. I wanted to share with you something I'm doing on Patreon. Passion for Craft at the journeyman level is access to my library. And I just wanted to show you some of that stuff that I'll be sharing, because the goal is, look, I've been in business 30 years. I'm getting to be an old guy, and so I want to share what I know. Part of the problem with looking through some of these magazines and stuff and looking at, what's going on is there's no context. And so what I'm going to be doing is opening up my library and sharing context. For instance, I've got this Carpentry and Builders magazines. This one goes, issue 57, goes back to September of 1883, okay? And then you go fast forward to June of 1893, okay? And so if you go to American Builder and Carpentry magazine, there's 1906. So literally in every decade, right, I've got magazines that we can learn from. And these are fascinating magazines. They teach us about building and teach us about what guys used to know back then. I'm always talking about being a master craftsman, master builder, the lost art of building, right? A lot of that is just looking at the past and finding out what these guys knew. Realizing that in 1906, that those houses from that period had those kind of cut-face stone blocks. Well, if you look at this, you realize that they really weren't stone blocks, they're concrete blocks. And there was companies that sold these concrete making blocks so that they would sell them to contractors so you can make them on your own job, so you can make your own block foundation, which is fascinating. There are drawings and details of what porches should be. In this one, there's even a architecture in South Africa. And looking at architecture in South Africa and how things were built. And so it's not only a time travel, it is a looking at other parts of the country, what was being built, and then tools. Guys, there are so many tool advertisements in these things, from the very early Yankee screwdriver to the Yankee screwdriver to a Stanley planing mill to the machines that were available on jobs. There was these foot-powered table saws and foot-powered shapers that are crazy, 1880s, 1890s, that were very popular, heavily advertised. And so, how did they make things? What was really going on in the job site? That was certainly one of the things that was going on. So anyway, each week I'm going to be opening up a magazine and then sharing, 20 or 30 pages in each one. This is from October 1942. Okay, what's happening in 1942? Bueller, right? That is I'm dating myself with that reference on it. That is the World War II, okay? So now we're in World War II, and this one says keeping up with war constructions, new conditions, new requirements, new developments. And so, there was a moratorium on construction at that time period for a little while. And so this is very important to see how they were living. But look what happens to buildings in the 1950s. Look at these builders, first of all. We have gone away from the really pretty houses in the 1920s to a very practical way of building, which was happening in the 1950s. So we're going to catch a glimpse of what was going on in the building. They're called Peek into the Past. We're going to be looking at it. Another thing we're going to do is I'm going to be sharing these pattern books. You guys know I'm writing that book on historic millwork, and I've been collecting some of these pattern books, but there are drawings and details in here, right? Like that, which is just pretty, and that you'll have prints of and be able to show. But there's also doorways, right? And door profiles and ways of laying up trim, how to put it together. That's very helpful. So we'll be coordinating a bunch of that stuff, showing moldings, for instance. This is one of the things I'm doing in my book, is looking for moldings and how they were laid out. But these are all cornices, right? I talked to you about how to lay up cornices and how to build them in a historic way. That's how they used to do it. I'll be sharing that great information. Finally, I know you guys have sent me emails about, I want to know how you build your windows. I want to know how you do your doors. I'm going to share that, right? So here is a Construction Details, Massachusetts, MIT, basically, from Professor Chandler. And these are drawings that we use to help us build our windows and doors. And so these plates would have been stuff that have been shared in a classroom, but there's all different kinds of details and isometric views, the weight pocket, all of the different things that were going on. Detail for a wooden frame in a wood building. There's details for wood frames in a brick building. So all different kinds of details and plates that I'll be sharing to walk you through how to do things. There's even things like, the integrated gutters, right? So these are great teaching tools, great ways of figuring out how they used to build it. Some of these are great. Some of these are things that you just want to take with a grain of salt and go, that's interesting. Ever want to know about step flashing? An isometric view of the way a wall would have been preserved. Notice the fireproofing in the wall. These would have been, best building practices, best details. And I've got a lot of these books, right? I've got a lot of stuff to share. And so each week, Patreon, Passion for Craft, Journeyman Level, that's my library. I'll be sharing these. I'll have a video with each drop explaining what you're looking at. I really hope it elevates your game. Now, what do I want you to do with that? What I'd like is for you to look at those and go, oh, that's cool. I want that. All right. And then you can go to eBay or you can go, find those things online, figure out and then you start to collect your library. But what this is going to do is going to give you insight and a view into how I put this together and go, ooh, I like that book. No, that one's not going to help, right? And you guys can start putting these things together, building your own library, because to be a master craftsman and master builder, it does take reading, it does take research, it does take figuring all this stuff out. It's what I love sharing. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so the library, right, and access to the library is just kind of a bonus thing, because you're also at that level getting the Discord, you're getting 4 updated episodes on the podcast, and so you are getting a lot of value for that. But I wanted to let you know that you don't just have to listen to podcasts. You may not be a podcast guy, but if you want to build your library, 2 for the price of 1, and you really get a lot of value there that I hope will really help you and elevate your game. Thanks for following me. Thanks for doing all this, guys. Happy New Year. Talk to you soon.